Hi, my name is Luis Matos, and this is my submission for the Big Idea competition. Um, First off, my idea, my company, it would be called Coqui Foods. The main idea is there's a lot of Puerto Rican inflection into the United States ever since the mass hurricane hit the island, um, and thus since we have the major influx of stuff, more Puerto Ricans are coming in, and personally, as a Puerto Rican, like I know that there's some certain things that you kind of always miss from home. Even down here in Florida, the weather and most of the stuff is very similar to the climate and like just the way things kind of run in Puerto Rico. There's some certain things that are just kind of different. One of them primarily being like having this food, and it's not just regular food. It's more like cultural home style kind of cooking. Um, there has been a lot of new spurts of restaurants for Puerto Rican food down here in Florida. But there's Puerto Ricans whenever they move from the island usually go to about five major places. The main one being obviously Florida, the Orlando and Miami-Dade County area. The second one being New York. The other one being New Jersey. The other one Pennsylvania. Texas is actually is increasing with the amount just as much as Florida, just mainly because it's closer to the south. It's kind of the same weather and stuff like that. And the last one being Chicago, Illinois. There's actually been a Puerto Rican community for quite some time there, but again, there isn't that big of an influx, mainly because it's pretty cold in Chicago, and Puerto Ricans do not do well in the cold. Um, so my main solution to like having to deal with the acclimating to different country, different world, or essentially a different world, because I mean, even though we're part of the U.S., Puerto Rico's always had that barrier with the language and just the way of being in itself. It's completely different from what you see up here in the United States. And so one of the major things that at least I remember whenever I first moved down here or up here was finding food, and not necessarily food because obviously there's food everywhere, but just our kind of food. Um, for example, finding just seasoning that like we used to make with every single like meal was kind of hard. I moved to Missouri, so it's not the same as the amount of people that I'm pitching for, but our problem was that would have to go to like world food stores, and most of the time it's made for other larger populations and stuff like that. So my idea is essentially to make a company that would be able to reach out to you. Like you would go online, order your food or whatever, if a certain type of food, or if you need ingredients, you can be able to look that up, choose however much you want, and excuse me, it would be sent out and delivered personally to your house. Obviously, primarily it's gonna focus on the major states that the influx of Puerto Ricans are in, but the later goal would be to expand statewide, like throughout all the 50 states, to where like it wouldn't matter where the Puerto Ricans or just anybody could move and they could receive some Puerto Rican food.